Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how to make an offer on a house and why price and money isn't always the main motivator. So before you do that, I want to say a quick hello to all subscribers, and more importantly, I'd like you to do me a small favour please. If you can, just press the subscribe button and also the notification bell so that every time I release a video you get notified of it. So let's get straight into it. It sounds quite simple, doesn't it? How to make an offer on a property. Surely you'd literally just go to the estate agent and say, hi, I've seen the property and here's my offer. Believe it or not, there's lots of little steps that you can take to ensure that you've done all the due diligence prior to that point. And we're going to go through them. There's 6 main steps that I'd like to go through. Right, number 1. Due diligence. So this is all the stuff that you're going to do on the property even before you've contacted the agent. When we're talking about contacting the agent, it's about putting the inquiry through. So this could be that you've either seen the property on Rightmove, you've seen it on another website like Zoopla, on the Marke and other platforms. So your due diligence. So this is where you're looking at the property and thinking, well, why is this property of interest to me? What am I going to do with this property? Am I going to run it as a single let? And if that's the case, what's the kind of rent that I'm going to be able to generate from this property? How much is my mortgage going to be? Now, I always work my figures on a worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, let's just imagine that there's a property on the market for £100,000. Worst case scenario, I have to offer the full £100,000. What's my mortgage going to be? What's my outgoings going to be? So am I going to use a letting agent to manage it? Am I going to put in a contingency for voids, bad debt, maintenance, whatever it may be? And hopefully by this point you would already have had a spreadsheet which pretty much allows you to tap in all these figures so that you can see what your figures are going to be towards the end, and it's going to give you almost like a net cash flow and the figure for your return on investment. If you are stuck on that and you do need a spreadsheet for that, please feel free to email me, admin@arshellahi.com, and I'll send you my deal analyzer for free. So there's my first tip for you. Do your due diligence. Understand how is it that you're going to add value to this property. You can also do lots of research on the property before you actually contact the agent. So one of the things that I like to do is to look at the floor plan of the property. Now, when I look at the floor plan, I'm looking for where the entry points, where the exit points. I'm also looking at where the wall's located. I'm looking for where the windows in the property, believe it or not, because windows is a big thing, especially if you're looking to convert a room into another bedroom, and that could be for a HMO. You need to know where the natural light and where the ventilation is. We also try and see how big the room sizes are. So we look at the description that the estate agent has provided so that we can kind of calculate how big are the rooms. And these are things that you can do prior to speaking to the agent, because you might determine that after looking at the floor plan, after looking at the room sizes, that in actual fact, this property doesn't actually meet your criteria, and you can then dismiss it and go on to the next property. So we're looking at ways that we can add value, looking at the floor plan. Now with COVID, one of the things that lots of agents did was create virtual walkthroughs of the property. So again, watch the virtual walkthrough to see how the property is and what the layout is. More importantly, if you see that the property's got a large garden, one of the little tips that not many people mention is that you can download the land registry title plan. It costs you £3 to do that. So only do this for properties that you're really interested in. And off the back of that, you'll be able to see how big is that garden? Does the property has any kind of development opportunity? And these are little things that you can do. So that's step number 1. Step number 1 is due diligence. Step number 2 is about establishing credibility. And we're talking about establishing credibility with the estate agent, because remember, in order for this to happen, you've got to make sure that the estate agent really understands you and what you're all about. Now, as the owner of the Property Investor app, I kind of now understand the psychology of estate agents, because I get calls from, or my team gets calls from property investors all over the UK, and they say, yeah, hi, I'm a property investor, I can buy properties for cash, I can complete within 7 days, I can do this, I can do that, I can do the other. And in reality, they do not deliver on any of those. So in actual fact, what they're probably doing is trying to sell it on to one of their property investors, and that's fine. But if they told me about that from the outset, I'd kind of understand what the expectation was. So tip number one for establishing credibility is be upfront with the agent. If you're not the buyer, don't proclaim to be the buyer, because in actual fact, it will come out throughout the process. Also, if you require funding, be clear about it. So one thing that you can do is provide a DIP, a DIP, or a decision in principle to the agent to show how serious you are. So they can see that you've actually got the ball in motion and that you're in the process of making sure that everything's in place. What I'm trying to say is get all your ducks in a row. So you can have your solicitors lined up, you can get your mortgage broker lined up, you can get your decision in principle lined up. Now, one thing I would say is don't go off and get a decision in principle before viewing it and making sure that the property is suitable for you and your requirements. The reason why I say that is because what happens if you don't like the property after viewing? You've then gone on and got a credit search against your name for a property that you potentially are not looking to acquire. So again, this has an impact on your credit score. So build rapport with the agent. So create a relationship with the agent. You've got to remember that the agent is going to be working for the vendor. And more importantly, they're going to have to report back to the vendor and say, hi, okay, so Arsh has viewed the property. He really likes the property. And what we're trying to get is the agent to speak to the vendor on our behalf to ensure and put us in the best possible light. So we can say that we believe that Arsh is the best guy that we've got for buying this property, and here's all the reasons why. He's a cash buyer, or he's got his mortgage in place, he's provided us with his proof of funds, he's provided us with his solicitor's details, he's done everything that we've asked him to do, and we think that, you know, going forward it'll be a very smooth and an easy transaction. Now, some of the questions that I normally ask estate agents. So tip number 3 is questions. Don't be afraid to ask the agent a load of questions. And the reason why I say this is because the more questions that you can ask, the more you can understand about the vendor's pain and motivation. Now, estate agents are not going to know about the real reasons why the vendor is selling. So they won't know that someone's being repossessed in the background. They won't know that someone's going through a marital breakdown or they're going through some financial hardship. This is down to you to kind of understand or possibly meet the vendor at the property and ask these questions. But again, be sympathetic to the circumstances. Don't just go in and say, okay, we understand that you're being repossessed. I'm going to offer you 50 pence for your house. That's not the best way to do it. And I strongly advise you not to do that. Understand the reasons why they're selling it and then come up with a solution, because this is going to be your final offer. And as a result of creating the credibility from stage 2 and asking all the right questions from stage 3, you'll be able to put your figures together and provide a formal offer, which is then going to go to stage 6, which we'll come to shortly. So questions: why are they selling? Now, not many agents will know this, but again, you'll be able to ask a load of other questions, such as, how long has it been on the market for? Now, we can do this, it's very clear on portals like Rightmove, Zoopla, that it clearly states that this is when it came on the market, this is when it's been reduced. So you may not need to ask that question, but it's a question that you do need to kind of write down so that it's a talking point for you and the agent. So we'll ask the question, when did it come on? And one of the questions I always ask is that, okay, it came on in, let's say, February 2020. We're now in May 2021. Just from your experience, why is it not sold? And this is the point where the agent may say to you, well, you know, to be fair, Arsh, it came on the market. We thought it's slightly overpriced when it came on, but we took it on the vendor's instruction. And as a result, it's slowly reducing back down to now its realistic value. So again, the agent will give you a bit of information as to why they think it hasn't sold. But more importantly, this is your point of creating that rapport, building that rapport, understanding how many other properties in that area have sold. So asking the question, why has it not sold? And this is where they'll say that, they think it's slightly overvalued, or they think that there's been some other issues in the property. And you can ask the question, has there been any other offers on the property? So if it came on £100,000, has anyone made any offers? They may say yes or no. They won't give you the figures. They may say, yes, we've had offers. And if you ask the question, within what region were those offers? You could say, did you get close to asking, or was someone coming to offer a discount? And they may give you that information, they may not. It all comes down to how open the agent is. So step number 4 is vendor rapport. Going back to my point, money is not always the main motivator. And when you're going to view the property, if you're meeting the owner at the property, this is your point. This is your chance to build that rapport and create that relationship with the vendor. I'm going to say something really important here. Do not try, just because you're meeting the owner, do not use this opportunity to try and cut the agent out. The moment you do this, and this is a common flaw, is that they think, oh, okay, I'm direct to the owner now. Maybe I'll make him the offer and I'll cut the agent out. Maybe the vendor will save some money by cutting the agent out. That's completely the wrong way to do this. And the reason why I say that is because the moment you cut the agent out, the moment the agent stops talking to you and offering you any more properties, they'll probably even refuse to deal with you. They certainly won't allow you to go and view another property where you're going to meet the owner, because they're going to think, well, hang on, this guy's going to try and cut me out again. As a result of cutting me out, I'm going to lose my commission. As the agent, I'm going to lose my commission. So you want the owner to like you. You want them to understand what you're all about. Again, creating the credibility, establishing that credibility by saying to them, well, we've got the funds in place, we've got solicitors in place, we can do this. Showing them what research that you've done from the outset. So having a look at what the area's done, telling them about the research and what other agents have told you about the area will kind of work in your favour when you come to make the offer in stage 6. So, and one of the main reasons when you speak to the vendor is understanding their reasons why. They may not have told the agent their reason why, but this is your opportunity to speak to them and say, guys, okay, we understand that you're on the market. Why are you selling? Where are you going? What are you doing? And you'll be able to collate your offer, and you'll be able to also understand, is this something strategic that you can offer the vendor as well? So maybe money may not be the main motivator. It could be that they're looking to upscale, downscale, they may be moving abroad. It may be due to issues that they're facing, financial hardship, marital breakdown, whatever it may be. This is your point to understand, because this is your first opportunity where you're meeting the vendor direct. Now, once you've done all that, once you've got a good indication of what the property is all about, etc., we now go on to stage number 5, which is do the numbers. When we're talking about doing the numbers, we've looked at the floor plan, we've now assessed the property, we've now also looked at the property, and we've potentially met the vendor. Now, the one thing I will say is that when an agent advertises a property, let's just say that they valued it at £100,000. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to offer £100,000. You work on what you believe works for you. So don't worry about the advertising price. Put that to one side. The one thing that you have to bear in mind is that estate agents work on a commission based on what they sell the property for. So if they've advertised it at £100,000, and let's just imagine that they're charging 2% for the sale commission, they will get 2% of whatever the property achieves. So if they've got it on for £100,000, naturally they want to achieve as close to that £100,000 as possible in order for them to generate as high a possible commission. Now, if you go and offer, let's say £80,000, they're probably going to think, well, in actual fact, I'm not going to try and push that offer too hard to the vendor because we're making a lower commission on that property. And this is in actual fact, a fact that lots of agents would rather hold out for higher offers based on the fact that they're going to generate a higher commission. So the more they sell it for, the more commission they make. One thing that I will say is that when you're doing the numbers, be realistic with your refurb costs. So if there is a refurb to be done, if you're going to convert it into HMO, etc., you've got to make sure that you've got those figures correct. So take the time now to get your quotes. So get your builder's quotes, get your architect's quotes if you need to go off and get your planning quotes. More importantly, don't forget to factor in finance costs. Don't forget to factor in other costings like brokerage costings, solicitors costings, stamp duty, because these are all going to play a factor into whether this becomes part of the transaction, and more importantly, how much capital you require upfront and what effect this will have on your return on investment. So step number 6, last step, making the offer. So you've done all your homework. You've looked at the floor plan, you understand the vision for the property, you've kind of you've been and viewed the property, you really like the property, you've met the owner, you've built rapport. Now, making the offer. So don't be afraid now to go back to the agent and say, guys, okay, I've gone through steps 1 to 5. Don't tell them steps 1 to 5, but internally steps 1 to 5. And here's my offer. And the reason why you put the offer forward to them is because not only do you put the offer forward to them, but you also give them the reasons and the credibility behind the offer. So we can say, okay, you've got it on the market for £100,000. I'd like to offer, let's just say, £84,500. We never really round it up to 84,000. I try and keep it, let's say £84,500 or £84,510. The reason why we do this is because it shows the agent that we've spent a bit of time in actual creating a credible offer. Now, one thing I always say is that if you're going to make an offer, there's no point if they've got it on £100,000 going in at 90,000. If you know that your top level figure is 90,000, don't go straight in at 90. The reason being is that if you go straight in at 90 and it gets rejected, you've got no room for manoeuvrement to renegotiate. Whereas if you go in at £85,112 for argument's sake, if they reject that, or if they turn it down, you've still got a bit of wiggle room to then go back up in small increments. So one thing I'd say is don't go in straight away and meet them in the middle. Lots of people meet them in the middle, say, well, in actual fact, we want 90,000, you're offering 85,000. Straight away, let's meet in the middle, 87.5. Again, you've gone up too high too quickly. So use this time to go up in small increments. So if you went in at 85, you could potentially go up to 86, 86.5, 87. Almost like an auction. When you go to an auction, they don't jump up in tens of thousands of pounds straight from the outset. They try to, but then they come down almost like £100 increments. But what you're doing is you're showing the vendor and the agent willingness to increase, but it has to work on your terms. So start low and prepare to go high, and always back up your offers in writing, because what this is doing is showing them, again, credibility that you're serious. In your offer letter, you would say that you put the offer in writing to confirm that here's the property address, here's how much I offer, and if you want to proceed further, here's my mortgage broker's details, here's my solicitor's details, and let's get this moving forward. So always back it up with an email to the agent. Don't copy in the vendor, because that again shows that you're trying to cut the agent out. So there's lots of little tips here, and again there's lots of psychology that goes behind this, because the agent will be watching how you behave once you've met the vendor, because one of the agent's biggest concerns is that you're going to cut them out the equation. So that's a big no-no. So there we have it, guys. 6 big tips as to how to make an offer on a property that you're looking to buy. I really hope that you take that time to just pretty much fine-tune your skills when you're making an offer. Some of you may have listened to this and said, Arsh, that was, I kind of know all that. Lots of you would have taken quite a few nuggets away from there. So I really hope that's helped. If it has helped, please press subscribe and the notification bell. So if you like more free content, please feel free to reach out to me. There's lots of ways that we can do this. So you can find a podcast that I recently released. It's almost like, it is a year old. It's called The Property Rebel. You can find this on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just to name a few of the platforms. Google the Property Rebel and you'll see us all over the internet. I release a new podcast every Tuesday at 6 a.m. and it is literally 15 minutes, so perfect timing to get you through the commute to work or just even in the shower, believe it or not. As well as that, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter and Clubhouse under the handle of Arsh Ellahi. Please feel free to connect with me on social media. Quite social on those platforms. I'm always happy to have a chat with you. So finally, if you're looking for a property investment deal and you haven't already done so, have you downloaded the Property Investor app? It's the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. So whether you're looking for a below market value deal, a rent to rent deal, lease option deal, service accommodation deal, just to name a few. We've got them all on there for you. So you can go to either our website, which is propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, or you can go to the App Store, type in Property Investor, and you'll be able to download it and register all within the space of a couple of minutes, and you'll see over 200 deals right in the palm of your hand. So guys, on that note, I really wish you all to be safe, well and happy, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.